This is my extolling speech. Dr. Karl Moria. Now, Karl is a good Indiana boy from Munster across the border. We're born and raised, and I met a guy who went to kindergarten with him, and had a couple stories to tell. I'm not sure I really should share those because I haven't had a chance to kind of get him into my pattern. But clearly, Karl means a lot to him since he's here this evening. He came up here to Northwestern University for undergraduate school, went back to Indiana to IU to go to medical school, and then we were able to get him here to do his general surgical residency. And during that period of time, he took 2 years out to do his research time, and it was a very controversial thing that he did. He went to work with the American College of Surgeons for that 2-year period as their initial clinical scholar in residence. And the chair of surgery at that time, Dick Bell, said, "What in the hell are you doing, wasting your time doing this kind of thing where you could be doing basic science research and, and getting all this other stuff out of it? There's no future in this health services research stuff." But he did it anyway. Was very successful in what he did there. He then went on, after finishing residency, to do a 1-year surgical oncology fellowship at MD Anderson. We were fortunate enough to recruit him back here to come on faculty now about 4 years ago. One indication of Karl and his negotiating abilities, when he came back here, he asked, "Well, couldn't I just start off as an associate professor?" And we didn't think that was appropriate, but I must say we did fast track him and so he recently became associate professor. Karl has done amazing things since being here. He's really lit this place on fire. He formed the Surgical Outcomes Quality Improvement Center, or SOQUIC, here at Northwestern Memorial Hospital, which is meant to improve the healthcare quality and delivery. And he has built an entire program around this sort of thing. See a problem, try to fix it, then try to force it out so that others do it, and we can improve the quality of healthcare around us. He subsequently developed the Illinois Surgical QI Collaborative. There are more than 50 hospitals now built into this collaborative where Karl and his team are trying to improve the surgical care by decreasing variation and putting in place best practices around the state of Illinois. He also is running a trial right now that every general surgery residency program director is looking forward to avidly, and that is the so-called FIRST trial. For those of you who are not in medicine, some 10 years ago or so, there were limitations put on the number of hours that residents could work. They can only work 80 hours a week now. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But with that, then there were subsequent rules put in place that made it very inflexible. And it really changed the nature of how trainees are treated. And many of those things we think are probably not good in terms of the way they're done. And so the first trial is one that has a prospective randomized trial of some programs having the very restrictive hours and others having more flexible hours, still 80-hour limitations and all of those things. And we're, needless to say, waiting for the result of these trials with very great interest. And he was the one who organized that and had it funded. He has been recognized for much of what he's been doing. He's the president of the Surgical Outcomes Club. He has been made the director of surgical quality at NMH. He became the vice chair of quality in surgery several years ago. I thought that was an important thing for us in surgery to do. The motto of the department is safer surgery today and better surgery tomorrow, both of which this kind of builds into. We did promote him a few years ago, or this year, as I mentioned. He's published more than 200 articles. He has more than $20 million in research funding. He's been recognized by being put on the editorial boards of the Annals of Surgical Oncology and JAMA Surgery. And one of the things that I think he's most proud of is that he has multiple mentees who have worked with him and have learned from him, from medical students to residents to even faculty members, some of whom are here this evening. He's done a tremendous job in terms of working in the system, but trying to expand the tentacles of surgery and improve the quality of the care that we deliver, and it's been great. Now, I've been trying to find out dirt on Karl for the last several weeks, and there just is not a lot out there. I mean, it really bugs the heck out of me, because usually, if I had some slides, I could come up with some funny, paste on photos and stuff like that, but I can't do that. Importantly, Karl is a family man. He, during his 2 years of research, funny how you have a little time and then things happen, but during his research, he met the lovely Sheila here in the front row, native of Evanston. They were married in 2006, they met in 2006, married in 2009, and they have 3 young children. Mia, who's 5, Layla, who's 3, and Beckham, who's here in the back. I think I heard him a little bit ago, who's 5 months old. So they have their hands full. There he is. They have their hands full for sure. I'm told that Karl previously had hobbies of skiing and traveling, a number of other things, but needless to say, hobbies now relate back to the children's issues. And I'm told that he's a very good father and spends a lot of time with his kids. Which I can certainly relate to, and I think it's wonderful. So the last thing that I would say is that recently there was a Thanksgiving holiday, and we surgeons are so good with our hands and so good with knives and stuff, but I understand that there's no question in the world that Karl Billemore cannot carve a turkey. So with that, I will stop my extolling of this young man. We are really happy to have him here. We're happy to have family and friends here. I've met a number of his friends and family members who are here for this honor. So I would like to have you join me in congratulating Karl Billemore on being the John Benjamin Murphy Professor of Surgery at Northwestern University Feinberg School of Medicine. Karl. So that's the thing you're supposed to wear for official ceremonies and stuff. And then I would say that this little thing you can't even see. It's a little medallion you put on your lapel and stuff, or on your pajamas at home if you want to really be cool. So Karl, here you go. That's for you. I put that on. I think it'll stay as long as you have to give a talk. But you're welcome to give a few minutes of talk here in front of that group. So anyway, congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Soper, for that introduction. The whole associate thing was just somebody else's idea, really. Gotta try, come on. Well, first I'd just really like to thank Dr. Soper and Dean Nielsen for this honor. This really is something special. A lot of these accolades, we try to downplay, but this one I'm just going to say is very neat and an honor. So thank you, and thanks to Dr. Mavi as well for being a mentor and helping to arrange all of this. So. And thanks to everybody. This is a packed room, and if I were talking about science, I wouldn't need any notes, and I could just walk around and talk, but this is actually much more nerve-wracking than talking about our science. So, but thank you all for being here. It really means a lot to have all these friends here. So, an endowed professorship certainly is a great honor, and having one named after a famous figure in surgery is particularly interesting, especially for me, who's taken a lot of interest in the history of surgery. And so it was a great opportunity to dive in and learn more about J.B. Murphy. And so I actually went to the archives at NU and at the American College of Surgeons, and Remy helped me get material out of Mercy Hospital, and so got to see his patient records and all sorts of things. And so the other thing that was very cool about this was this morning, and it happened on the way. My 5-year-old was on her way to school, and she proclaimed that Dad's going to take over the whole Chicago universe today, but he has to sit in a special chair. I'm not sure exactly what you explained to her, but that's what she took away. So anyway, JB liked to be called JB, actually. He didn't prefer his whole name. He didn't have a middle name. He was bored that He was just born John Murphy, so he made up Benjamin, but then just wanted to be called JB his entire life. And he's made a number of contributions. Murphy sign is what he's best known for, but he did things in terms of joint surgery, vascular surgery, thoracic surgery, the Murphy button, which Dr. Soper talked about, and when they tore down the old Murphy Hospital, they found a U-pipe, and at the bottom of the U-pipe in the plumbing, they found about 50 Murphy buttons that patients passed, and then they were stuck in the pipes. So, pretty interesting. If you go to the Museum of Science and Industry, his office is the one that's in the streets of yesteryear and on display. They actually took his entire office and put it there. So quite the figure and quite an honor to have a chair named after him. He came about at a very interesting time where anesthesia sort of had been introduced, antiseptic surgery, better suture material, and so they had more time to do these operations. And so he noted that he came about at the right time. He saw the opportunity, and he just sort of went with it despite the naysayers. And sort of, I kind of related to that sense in some of his memoirs, based on sort of what you were talking about, Dr. Soper, in terms of going with sort of outcomes research at a time where some people thought it wasn't really popular, and it turned out to be a really great thing for me. I sort of saw it and really loved it. And so I want to talk just a couple anecdotes about Murphy and some of the more obscure ones than sort of what you might see in the regular books. But I wanted to use some of those things and thank some of the people who are here. First, I want to just thank my parents. You know, it's really hard to get them out of San Diego in December, but they came to this. Murphy was particularly inspired by his parents. His mother was the one that really drove him, and his father he learned really good work ethic from. And I think that is very much true for me. I also got my research bug from my dad, who was a research scientist, and they really did have to drive me. They will very clearly and happily tell you lots of stories about me. So, but I had to be taken out of public school and put into private school because I was a behavior problem in 3rd grade. But it worked, I think, hopefully. Anyway, the other thing is Murphy sought mentorship relentlessly, and that's why he went to work with Bill Roth for 2 years, and I've had great mentors over my career. I initially thought I was going to be MD, PhD after undergrad and went to the NIH, and I stumbled into a lab with Francis Collins, and he was a tremendous mentor. We did great work. I developed a new assay for protein-protein interactions, and got to give a huge talk at the NIH about this, and then James Watson actually came, of DNA fame, and when he came, they brought him to our lab, and I got to meet him. He signed my blot and was very interested in the work we were doing. Yeah.
Wow.
And then we started work. That was 9 months in, and then one of the other more senior postdocs started working on this, and we started to realize that the assay didn't work at all. Actually, we were just looking at a contaminant. At that point, I said, we're going to skip the MD, PhD part here. Life shouldn't go this wrong. You know, a year of work that was just all about a contaminant. And so I really wanted to do work that was closer to the patient and had a more direct impact while still impacting a large number of patients. And so in medical school, I started to work on that. And then actually, when I got here, one of the people who really inspired me to do this and really encouraged me to keep going with this is Kevin Bethe, and I'm glad you're here. He really, when I had this idea, he was the one that really said, just keep going with it. And then there were still very few opportunities, and at that time, Dr. Talamonte was here, and I talked to him and Dave Bentram, and they're the ones that really set this up for me. And to be totally honest, it was Talamonte and Bentram who totally came up with this idea to go to the ACS. And they approached Dr. Winchester for me and Dr. Russell at the time, and they were sold in a minute about having residents at the American College of Surgeons. And I spent 2 years there at an intersection of research and policy, and I was sold. You know, this is what I wanted to do for my career, and it was very clear. And so I'm thankful to a number of mentors who have helped along the way, including Cliff Coe and many others. Murphy was one of the founders of the American College of Surgeons. He was one of the 9 founders. I got to review the transcripts of the first Regents meeting, which was very interesting. They were quibbling about whether to call it FACS or FASC for about an hour. And having sat in on a recent Regent meeting, it's actually not that different. But anyway, my relationship with the college is really important to me, and it's an opportunity to be able to expand our work more broadly and nationally, and so it's really perfect that this is about it related to Murphy. I've also had tremendous mentors outside of surgery, and the most prominent one is Jane Hall. Jane has pushed me outside of my comfort zone many, many times. and is a mentor that redlined a lot of red on every grant from top to bottom, and she really explains the recent grant success that we've had. So thank you, Jane. Also, somebody who left here was Mark Williams, and he's the one that really helped me establish my interest in quality improvement, collaboratives, and that sort of work. And our relationship with Blue Cross Blue Shield came through him, and I'm thrilled that you guys are here today to celebrate this with us. And so that relationship means a lot to us as well. One of the few things I found in my work on Murphy is he was interested in public reporting. He actually think he's the father of individual surgeon public reporting, which is very trendy recently with the ProPublica scorecard. And the one difference is that he wasn't entirely altruistic. His was a little bit self-serving. He wanted to show how good his outcomes were compared to all the other guys he was operating with. So he mandated public reporting when he was at St. Joe's of individual surgeon outcomes. And so he now makes his way into all of my talks on surgeon reporting. Murphy was recruited back in 1908 to Northwestern by Christian Fenger, another prominent mentor. He always went places where there were great mentors, and so I was recruited back by two tremendous mentors that I had during residency, Dr. Soper and Dr. Mavi, and they gave me the time and space and opportunities and support to really grow and to be able to do these things. And it is not something that I looked at a lot of other places that anybody else came close to offering, and so thank you very much for that. When Murphy was recruited back, they also told him that he could also be the next chair, so whenever you're ready. So Murphy was very much into outcomes. To prove he was actually blocked from being a member of the American Surgical, the Chicago Surgical Society, because he advocated operating early on appendicitis. And he knew that the only way that he was going to get any proof on this was to collect a large number of cases. And he kept a very detailed database and did, actually for the time, fairly sophisticated statistical analyses. So he started with 250 patients, and that was the first report. And then he moved down to 1,000 patients, and he knew that was the only way. He was also very much into quality improvement. One of his quotes is that it's our duty to pull the lagging up to the leading. And I think that's something I want on my wall. That's what we try to do. We try to bring everybody up to the same level, improve quality everywhere. It's not just about regionalizing care, it's about getting everybody to improve. And he was widely published in JAMA. He initially had a lot of blocks at JAMA and couldn't get published, but then he noted that step, when he made the step to being published in JAMA frequently, really is what expanded his reach and spread his findings throughout the country and throughout the world. It looks like he had a stretch, from what I could read and what he was describing, of about 10 papers that almost in a row that he had accepted into JAMA. And so I'm really appreciative of my relationship with JAMA, and I'm thrilled that you guys are here today. And Ed apologized for not being here, but he's in Hawaii, which sounds like a much better place to be today. But and we were on a roll. We weren't quite to 10, but we had a good number until the rejection last week. So I'm just kidding. I guess we got to start over. So the one thing that I didn't like reading about Murphy was that he didn't have any great mentees. It's widely written that he trained a number of people. They did good work during their time, but none of them were thought to have been innovators or created great research or have been particularly great surgeons. And that's something that I hope will never be written about me in my Wikipedia page. So Mile and Ravi and Jonah, go do great things, and nobody writes that on my Wikipedia page, please. So, but that really is important to me, and I'm thrilled to spend time. And we've had great trainees in this program, with the college program, and that really makes it worthwhile, seeing them get through a paper and a grant, and it's just like doing it again for the first time. It's great. So I have to thank the research team, because this is really all a lot of work that I get to fly around presenting that's done by a tremendous group of our research team. Our team's it's about 35 people now. And there are a couple people on the research team that have to be recognized. One is Remy Love, who was my assistant for a long time and now is one of our project managers. Where's Remy? There she is. And she is, everybody knows Remy. And knows that she runs the show. There's one other person. She's the first person I hired when I got here, and is my partner in crime and a great collaborator, and that's Jeanette Chung. And she really is really the brains behind all of this research. And so she's going to crawl in. She does not like any attention. So don't look that way. Don't look that way. She does not like any attention. And the ability to do this, to be able to focus on the research and be able to do surgery happens because I have a tremendous nurse in Margot Klein, and I really appreciate everything she does, and I have a great partner in Jeff. Where's Jeff? There he is. So, I mean, Jeff trained me and is now a tremendous partner and resource, and so it makes life easy to have a great research team and a clinical team to work with. So, Murphy had a lot of accolades, but he was first and foremost a family man. He really will describe his family in great detail in a lot of his writings, and his wife built him a lab in each of their homes. So it was out in the barn for the first 2 homes, and then above the garage in the third. And Sheila is not going to build me a lab. She won't even let me bring my clogs home because she's scared of what's on them. So I don't think we're going to be doing any bacterial experiments in the house. But Sheila has built us a great life, and she's the best. And if I say too much more, I'll be John Boehner up here. So. If you've been to my office, you know that my heart is with my kids, Mia, Layla, and Beckham. That's the real thing. So, Murphy isn't a man who kept a lot of friends. He had just a small number of close friends, and I was thrilled when my 2 med school buddies decided to fly in for this and surprise me. That means the world. And I have Milan here, my friend from kindergarten. It's an amazing thing to have here. So, thank you very much. Overall, I'll conclude by saying I really honestly feel that I haven't done anything yet. I feel like this work has been very interesting and great, but it's just building a platform. And until we can revolutionize the way care is delivered and it's safer, it's going to keep bringing me back in the morning. And so I appreciate this. It's a tremendous honor to be named, to have a chair named after a legend in surgery, and to have the confidence and support from Dr. Soper and Dr. Nielsen to have this chair is an honor and very much appreciated. Thank you.
Well, that's outstanding, Karl. So that ends the evening's session. Thanks all for coming. We're going to have some photos up here at the front for family members and other important individuals who are here. But again, thanks for coming, and congratulations to Dr. Villamore.